Hey everybody, it's Kim. It's Friday. I got out at noon. I took a shower. I added some more color to my hair, which you can't tell now because it's wet. I did a nice sugar scrub. It's time to do this book haul. Okay, it's Kim, and if you're new to my channel, hi, welcome. You are about to see the accumulation of books I have received and ordered and or purchased or was gifted this summer. So my last book haul was back in May. So some of these books on here are from that May haul and I just don't remember, but you're essentially seeing 3 months worth of accumulation of books. Now, some of these books I did receive from publishers, from giveaways, and from friends, but a large majority are my own purchases. I will try and break them up into different paragraphs and put timestamps, different piles, and put timestamps down below. One of the big things I want to do going forward, this bookcase behind me used to have a lot of my wrapped TBR books. For the rest of the year, starting with my September TBR through the end of the year, in terms of nonfiction, I will only be reading nonfiction that is either from a publisher, which I want to give a review to. I feel like that's the right thing to do when you're given things. Fiction for my mood reading, but all of my other nonfiction books need to come off of the unwrapped TBR for the rest of the year. I want to make a better dent in that pile. Now that Book Buffet is coming to a wrap, I really need to focus on the books I purchased last year in 2020. So let's go ahead and get started. First on this book haul is actually the finished, completed copy of We Are Each Other's Harvest. I received an unedited proof copy of this book and wanted to support the author, so I did pick this up. Next book I received is from Rakuten Books and the University of Chicago Press. This is Oishi. This is a new 2021 publication about the history of sushi. So this is one that will not get, it's gonna go on this shelf for the sake of where I'm filming right now, but it is a book that's not gonna get wrapped. My goal is anything that I put in this cabinet, I'm just not touching for the rest of the year. Another book that I have received from the publisher is The Billion Dollar Fish. This again came from the University of Chicago Press. Thank you so much. And this is all about the untold story of the Alaskan pollock. Third from the University of Chicago Press and its counterparts is Evolution Made to Order, Plant Breeding and Technology Innovation in 20th Century America. It's kind of funny, 20th Century America's backwards. I am super excited. This is an older book. I'm not sure why they sent it to me right now. It comes from their team in London. And it's not an old book by any means. It was published in 2016. It's just usually they send me brand new releases, so I'm not sure why this one came, but I'm very grateful to have it. And final book I have received from Rakuten and the University of Chicago Press is Cabbage. Now this book might look familiar. This is the next book in the Food and Nations series. This is Cabbage and Caviar, the history of food in Russia. I immediately already sent a picture to Olive and went, I think you're gonna love this book. This is my third from them in this series. I did a whole review on Food and Nations that I'll link down below and in the cards. I'm realizing now that first top shelf is too short and I have no idea. These are built-ins that came with the house, so I'm a little like, what do I do to make them fit? It should be easy enough. It should be easy enough, but we will see. This next book I actually won in an Instagram giveaway from Riot Rue. They are a great Instagram channel and magazine that focuses on food and politics, and food is political. I won this book, Fruit Hunters, and I have to give that team a lot of credit because this book got lost like 3 times and it finally showed up, and I am very, very excited to have it. These next 2 books I won in an Instagram giveaway from the author Abdi Nazemian, and this is a copy of his book, Like a Love Story, and I also got to choose another book off of a pile that I wanted to own, and he sent How to Write an Autobiographical Novel, Essays by Alexander Chee, and I apologize, the reason I'm reading, you see how it's kind of funny. I enjoyed that quite a bit. So this is pile number 1 complete. Pile number 2 are fiction, foodie fiction books or nonfiction that just has nothing to do with the food world. First up is The Overdue Life of Amy Byler by Kelly Harms. So it's not about food, but it's about books, so it sounds just as good. Next up is Recipes for Persuasion by Sonali Dev. This is one of the 3 books in this trilogy that are retellings of great retellings of classics. I believe I actually got this one in an airport coming back from work in Chicago when the plane had been delayed 3 hours, and I stress shopped. But I am super excited to read this one, and I love having, it's a Bollywood style love story, is how it's described on the back. Next up is Yoke. This is a young adult book I have seen around BookTube for quite a while by Mary H.K. Choi. I was really interested, and I managed to get this at Open Books as a hardcover for $10. If I don't read it right away, I can put it in the Little Free Library, which is partially my intent. I'm actually gonna put this in my Little Free Library pile, and if I wanna read the book, I can pick it up. But really, I bought this with the intent of going to the Little Free Library, so I'm gonna put it down there versus back there. Next up is Hungry Hearts. This is, again, a young adult book, but it has 13 different essays by 13 different authors, all about the importance of like love, loss, and food. Next up is a 2021 release that I managed to get at Open Books for $12.50, and this is The Startup Wife. First off, this cover is, I know we always say in BookTube that covers are stunning, but I really liked this cover. I thought it popped from the moment I've seen people talk about it. This is by Tamima Anam. So this is, in this gripping, witty, and razor-sharp novel, award-winning author Tamima Anam takes on startup culture and modern love. So I am super excited. This is, again, a book I really should put in the Little Free Library once I'm done, but I really, really want to read this one. I might be able to grab it as an audiobook too from Scribd, which, by the way, if you want to try a 30-day trial of Scribd, which is an audiobook platform, you can use the link in my bio down below to try for 30 days. This is the kind of book I think I will like as an audiobook or as an easier read, and ultimately my goal is to put this one in the Little Free Library. I would love to have more 2021 releases go into the library. Next up is a foodie romance, Rosaline Parker Takes the Cake. This is kind of like the Great British Baking Show, and 2 different contestants are going to fall in love. So this book is by Alexis Hall, who is the writer of The Boyfriend Project. So I know those who read in the contemporary romance space recognize the author. I have not read The Boyfriend Project, but this one was all about food, so I had to give it a try. Next up is Hana Khan Carries On, and this is from the author of Aisha at Last by Uzma Jalaluddin. Hana Khan wants to be a podcaster, a late night voice, TV, radio host of some kind. And meanwhile, she has to help her parents in their restaurant. A young woman juggles pursuing her dream job in radio, there we go, while helping her family compete with the new halal restaurant across the street in the sparkling new rom-com by the author of Aisha at Last. Next up are the final 2 books of Jenna Evans Welch's Love Plus trilogy, Love and Gelato and Love and Olives. I have read Love and Luck and actually put it in the Little Free Library, so I would love to read these and ultimately donate them to the library as well. So I'm actually going to put them down here with the Little Free Library pile. Next up is 2021 new fiction, You People by Nikita Lalwani. I was really just captured by the cover, and it seems to be that this has a group of people who might or might not be here illegally, and they all come together around this pizza shop that seems to be a safe place. From the outside, Pizzeria Vesuvio, seems like any other pizza place in West London. A buzzy, cheerful Italian spot on a street where cooks from Sri Lanka rub shoulders with the waitstaff from Spain, Georgia, Wales, Poland, and more. But upstairs, on battered leather sofas, lives are being altered drastically and often illegally as money, legal aid, safe passage, and hope are dealt out under the table for those deemed worthy. Set in the opening years of the 21st century against the backdrop of the Sri Lankan Civil War and its outpouring of refugees in Britain, You People ask the big question at a time of bewildering flux. What price do you put on life, on freedom, and the right to love in an age defined by seismic political change? Another 2021 release is by Janie Brenner, author of The Forever Summer, is Blush. And this sounds like a young woman who returns back to her family's vineyard, and the whole family is coming back together after a death in the family. And it's about family trouble, family strife, and healing all in this vineyard environment. Another 2021 new fiction release is The Kitchen Front by Jennifer Ryan. I believe I mentioned this in May. I've had this one for a couple of months now. I am super excited to read this. Oh, I was right. I do have the other book, Pride, Prejudice, and Other Flavors by Sonali Dev. Next up is a new book by J.C. Lee, and this is The Dating Game. So this is dating game like it sounds, but you know, but the appeal or the food connection for me is that it all takes place around a bar culture, and learning about bartending. Next up is a relatively new release from 2020, and it's Not Like the Movies by Kerry Winfrey. I'm not sure if it actually has a food element to it, but there seems to be pies on the cover and in each chapter title, so I'm pretty excited. So Not Like the Movies. What happens when your life is a rom-com, but you don't even believe in true love? Chloe Sanderson is an optimist, but not because her life is easy. As the sole caregiver of her father, who has early onset Alzheimer's, she's pretty much responsible for everything. She has no time for or interest in getting swept up in some dazzling romance. She, not like her best friend, Annie, who literally wrote a rom-com that's about to premiere in theaters across America, and happens to be inspired by Chloe and her cute, no-nonsense boss, Nick Velez. As the buzzing for the movie grows, Chloe reads one too many listicles about why Nick is the perfect man, and now she can't see him as anything but reason number 4, the scruffy bearded hunk who's always there when you need him. But unlike the romance Annie has written for them, Chloe isn't so sure her own story will end happily ever after. Next up is Black Buck. I have seen this book around BookTube making the rounds. I have heard mixed things about it, but it is a 2021 release, and it is about the rise of an African American or Black young man who gets poached essentially from a coffee shop, Black Buck, Starbucks, and how he moves up into the ranks, up in a startup environment, but what are the trade-offs of identity and what sacrifices are made in the workplace. Next up is the next book, Earthlings by Sayaka Murata. She is the writer of Convenience Store Woman. This is a translated work coming out of Japan, and I have seen this. I saw it at Open Books for months, and I waited till it hit. Open Books, which is a nonprofit in Chicago, often will bring in new releases for full price. I waited months for this to come down, and I got the book half off at $10. Also, I apologize if you hear any chaos. My cat has decided it's time to play upstairs, and I can hear him scampering around, but maybe he'll make an appearance. Okay, I know this is getting long. Next up is The Dinner List by Rebecca Searle. Another book I have is Friendship Cake. And the two books that are nonfiction but not totally related to the category where I read is Nickeled and Dimed and Not Getting By in America. This is about poverty and working minimum wage in America and food scarcity. And then the other one is Sitting Pretty, The View from My Ordinary Resilient Disabled Body. This is going into the Little Free Library. If you've been keeping along and counting, which I haven't, I just paused the camera to look, there are 24 books behind me that are new to be read, and down on the ground there are 4 new books for the Little Free Library. Gotta stay hydrated in these long videos. Okay, the third pile I have are books that I pre-ordered or are new 2021 releases. In the nonfiction space, I should say. So my first pre-order is An Onion in My Pocket by Deborah Madison. Second book is The Lost Orchard by Raymond Blanc. Third new book is At the Chinese Table, a memoir with recipes by Carolyn Phillips. This cover is one of my favorites. Next up is Hannah Howard's second memoir, Plenty, also a really beautiful cover. I actually like these drawn covers more than I like photography covers. Next up is Winter Pasture, One Woman's Journey with China's Kazka Herders by Li Wan. So now this one is more in the nature writing space. I hope you're proud, Olive. This is about one woman who is going to work with these herders for 1 year. And it just sounds so beautiful and atmospheric, and it's about a type of animal I don't know anything about, and I am really, really intrigued. Next is Michael Pollan's newest book, This Is Your Mind on Plants. I'm sure Live Forever or Die Trying over at his channel is definitely going to be reading this sometime this year, and I am very, very excited to get behind this. There's at least 3 different types of plants he's going to be covering your mind on: opium, caffeine, and mescaline. The final book for pile number 3 is Homemade, a story of grief groceries showing up and what we made when we make dinner by Liz Hawk. This is a memoir. Okay, for these next piles, I don't know if you're ready, but I'll give you a look. These are all used books that I got from Open Books. So you know my love of Open Books, the Chicago bookstore. But recently, I guess a local bookstore that specialized in cookbooks and food writing books went out of business. They, Open Books, received a generous donation of 150 boxes of food writing and cookbooks. It's like heaven for me. And it's quite a problem on my wallet. But thankfully all the books are at used prices. So this might be a little bit of rapid fire because there are so many, and I still have a list of books that haven't appeared yet. So hang in there. We're gonna go as fast as we can at this section, okay? First up, we have Gumbo Life, Tales from the Bayou. Next up, The Land with Lost Borders. This is more of a memoir than food writing, a journey of the Silk Road. Next up is a book that I saw Olive review over on her channel with A Book Olive. If you haven't already, please check out the collaboration videos we did where we both exchanged farm stand secret mystery boxes. I'll link it above and below. But Olive recommended the book Olive Odyssey, and when I saw it, I picked it up. And another book I saw on Olive's channel that she reviewed is The Sound of Wild Snails Eating. So I am getting a little bit of nature writing in here. Okay, next batch. We have The Dirty Life. This is a memoir. Woman moves, lives on a farm. Stuff Matters, which is more of an exploration of the marvelous materials that shape our man-made world. This is for the Little Free Library. Shucked. This is life on a New England oyster farm. Farmer Jane, the role of women in farming, women changing the way we eat. And Paradise Lot. This is a story of 2 plant geeks, 1/10 of an acre, and the making of an edible gardens oasis in the city. Okay, the next book is all about cheese. Cheese and culture, the history of its place in Western civilization. I love cheese. I have very few books about cheese, and I'm very, very excited to read this. The next is a memoir by Fanny Singer, and this is Always Home. It's a little bit of a heavier book, and I believe she has some kind of relationship with Alice Waters. There we go. In this extraordinary intimate portrait of her mother and herself, Fanny Singer, daughter of the icon and the activist Alice Waters, there we go, chronicles the unique world of food, wine, and travel, a world filled with colorful characters, mouth-watering traditions, and sumptuous feasts. Across dozens of vignettes with accompanying recipes, she shares the story of her own culinary coming of age, and she reveals a side of her legendary mother that has never been seen before. A charming, smart translation of Alice Waters' ideals and attitudes about food for a new generation, Always Home is a loving, often funny, unsentimental, and exquisitely written look at life defined in so many ways by food, as well as the bond between mother and daughter. Next up, we have Rancher, Farmer, and Fisherman. I can already see my camera is overheating. It's so hot from how long I've been filming. So let's try and finish this pile before it shuts down. Alice Water and Chase Panisse, a romantic and practical, often eccentric, ultimately brilliant making of the food revolution. So Alice Waters' book, I've got her daughter's memoir. And finally for this pile, A Taste of Paris, a history of a Parisian love affair with food by David Downey. Okay, we're back. The camera cooled down. It took 5. I watched a booktube video. There's a cat off screen. Let's get through these last 3 piles of books. Next up, I got Feast. This is Hannah Howard's first book. So I already bought her new 2021 release, so I need to read the backlog first. I always find that when an author has multiple memoirs, they follow different points of someone's life. So I like to start at the origin. I can speak, wow. Next up is Rooted, Life at the Crossroads of Science, Nature, and Spirit. And this is what happens when you open your book mail with a knife. Next up is Dinner with Darwin. Excuse me, kitty, are you gonna come on camera? No, we tried. Food Politics is a heifer of a book. This is definitely one of the fundamentals most people keep from if they take like a food writing course or a food science course, so it's gonna go on the shelves Lord knows if I'll read it anytime soon though. I got it for 99 cents though at a book sale, so. Next up, The Invention of Nature, Alexander von Humboldt's New World by Andrea Wolf. It did make a New York Times bestsellers list, best books of the year. I don't know what year, but it's in the nature writing section. It looks really, really fun to read. I also think this could be a really great audiobook. Dan and I still, now that Dan and I live in Buffalo, we do take car rides to see our friends and family, and they're not 12 hours long, but they're still long enough to get in books. And I try to find not too niche of a book for us to listen to. So more of these like universal topics are a little bit more appealing, and we both can have a good conversation about them. So for example, another book that I already have found on Scribd as an audiobook that I think Dan and I are going to listen to is Fast Food Maniac, From Arby's to White Castle, One Man's Supersized Obsession with America's Favorite Food by John Hine. Next up is The Devil's Cup, Coffee and the Driving Force in the World's History. The driving force in history, excuse me. Next up is The Long Haul. This is actually a memoir from the perspective of a trucker, like one of those 18-wheeler truckers, and I just thought this was so interesting. I really wanted to take a look. Next up is The Book of Eating by Adam Platt. I have seen this book around for such a long time, and it finally came out in a paperback format, which is my preferred format. If you don't know who Adam Platt is, Adam Platt has been a contributing editor and restaurant critic for New York Magazine since 2000. He won the 2009 James Beard Foundation Journalism Award for Restaurant Reviews. During the course of nearly 25 years in the magazine business, Platt has written for a variety of publications, including The New Yorker, The New York Observer, Esquire, and Condé Nast Traveler. He lives in Greenwich Village with his wife and 2 pizza-loving daughters. Next up is Eating with Peter, A Life of Delicious Adventures by Susan Buckley. I don't think he's anyone famous. I actually found this in the airport bookstore I mentioned earlier. So Susan Buckley is a New York-based writer, editor, and consultant. With Elspeth Leacock, she has written 5 YA books on American history. Eating with Peter is her first adult book. Susan's life would never be the same after she meets Peter Buckley, a man who is larger than life. Peter pulls Susan out of her comfort zone to taste the fine life, literally. Together, they embark on a rollicking adventure through Michelin-starred restaurants in France to the souks of Morocco and the waters of the Red Sea in the Caribbean. They explore the world and along the way discover the most desired tables, sometimes in a tent, and the best markets, moving from adventures with Hemingway to sampling delectable treasures in the Alpine meadows. Interesting. Next up is Girl Hunter. This is about a farmer and female chef who learns to hunt to gather her own food. Next up is Fizz, How Soda Shook Up the World. I'm excited. I have a book about the history of Coca-Cola specifically, but not about soda in general. "99 Drams of Whiskey." This I also got for Dan, with Dan in mind. We were talking about how there's lots of books about beer, but not too many about the history of specific spirits, so I thought learning about whiskey together could be fun. I don't drink, though. Against the Grain, How Agriculture Has Hacked Human Civilization. My Beer Year, Adventures with hop farmers, craft brewers, chefs, beer sommeliers, and the fanatical drinkers as a beer master in training. Again, I got this one also for Dan in mind, because I didn't know that there really even were beer sommeliers. I feel like the French are probably cringing that someone else is taking the word sommelier, but hey, if you can be an expert in anything nowadays, so I'm all for it. This is another find I am very excited about. Hershey. This is the neither authorized nor sponsored by the Hershey Company. So it's a book apparently about the history of Hershey. Okay, can you hang in there? We're on the final pile. Okay, we have Stuffed Adventures in a Family Restaurant, memoir. By Allison Perlman, we have May We Suggest, and this is Restaurant Menus and the Art of Persuasion. This is also really interesting. I don't have a lot of books about menu writing or the role menus have had on restaurants in history. I mean, I think that's a huge part of it that's really underserved. So I'm super, super excited. I'm definitely going to do a full review on this book. Next up is $2 a day, living on almost nothing in America. I keep getting interrupted with filming. Look how far that's all filled in. I know I'm no longer in focus, but like. Okay, the final, am I in focus? There we go. Nope, not in focus. Maybe in focus, don't really care. The final 5 books. En Ma's Mastering the Art of French Eating. The memoir Life Without a Recipe. The Book of Eels. Poor Man's Feast, and The Art of the Restaurateur. Now this book I'm super excited for because it also focuses on the world of more like menu writing and just the art of owning a restaurant and the fundamentals of being a restaurant critic. Editing Kim, there are 68 books here. So I'm back because I mentioned at the beginning of this video that there were books from Open Books I ordered that are still not here yet. So let me go log in really quickly. So we were already at 68 books. I also just got a notification about an Amazon order that is now at the wrong house that I'm gonna have to go find. That's fun. All right, what else is in my past orders? Okay, last couple of books. The Whole Fromage, Adventures in the Delectable World of French Cheese. Hungry Monkey. Under the Table, Saucy Tales from Culinary School. Reinventing the Wheel, Milk, Microbes, and the Fight for Real Cheese. Volume 65, and Classic Candy, America's Favorite Sweets, 1950 through 1980. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more. So 68 plus 5 is 73. Oil and Honey, The Education of an Unlikely Activist. The Incredible Journey of Plants. Kosher Nation, Why More and More of America's Food Answers to a Higher Authority. Cooking for Kings, Life of Antonin Karim, the first celebrity chef, and From Scratch Inside the Food Network. So that's 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78 books. That's 78 books. I also have one other pre-order coming. Okay, there's one more book I have, and I think it's The Secret Life or History of Food, and I'll put it right here. And I already forgot the final number, so I'll put it here. It's something close to 80. 80 books, 4 months. It's a lot. Don't care. Love my life. See you in the next one. Bye. Thank you so much to the publishers Rakuten Books and University of Chicago Press for sending some books to me. Thank you to the 2 giveaways that I won, and thank you Open Books for being the best used bookstore in all of the land. I'm terrified that there are 150 donated boxes of books that will still be processed in the upcoming months, but I'm also very excited. If you haven't already, I would love for you to join my bookish community and hit like and subscribe below, and let me know in the comments. There are tons of books here. Are there any that piqued your interest that you'd love a full review for? Let me know, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.